A very good morning to one and all present here. Myself, Dr. AyeshaPG, pursuing my second year postgraduate in Department of Oral Pathology and Microbiology. Today, I will be presenting on the dental age estimation methods in forensic odontology. So, my presentation has an introduction about it, importance of age estimation, classification of the methods, and various factors which are used for age estimation. And I will be talking in detail about the various methods in age estimation and concluding the presentation. So, what is forensic odontology? It involves the management, examination, evaluation, and the presentation of a dental evidence in criminal or civil proceedings. What does this forensic odontologists do? They legal authorities by examining the dental evidence in the different situations. Roughly there are three subjects there are subjects divided in three major fields in forensic odontology. One is criminal, non-criminal, or civil, or research. Why teeth? What is the importance of teeth in age estimation? In mass disasters like a building collapsing or a natural disaster, the decomposed postmortem remains the dental hard tissues which are present importance in an investigation. And teeth are very resistant to the environmental insults, for example, fire or water. And postmortem decomposition is being more prevented in teeth. Hence, the teeth can retain its structure and without any distortion. Why teeth also? It's because the morphology and the arrangement of teeth is unique to an individual, like as similar to as a fingerprints. The morphology of the teeth and the arrangement of the teeth is bit unique to different individuals, and high survivability of the teeth exposed to severe physical factors such as fire and water. The principal advantage of the dental evidence is that the dental hard tissues can be preserved easily even after the death. The importance of age estimation. It plays an important role in forensic dentistry for dead individuals' identification as well as alive persons to clarify the criminal and civil liability issues. The dental tooth and the skeletal bone are the maturity indicators in age estimation. Importance of age estimation is, although human growth and maturation is unique to each individual, techniques for age estimations are currently based on assessing the chronological age and the age range when the dentition is undergoing any morphological changes. Age estimation is unidentified. Death can contribute to a biological profile comparison with the death or a missing person. While age estimation in living adults, why is it necessary? Because without valid identification, documents play an important role in criminal and civil proceedings. The classification of the dental age estimation methods. There are two methods according to the state of development of the dentition. Methods are applied to the forming dentition, and methods for adults are fully formed dentition. The other classification is they are according to the technique of the investigation. For example, first one is a clinical or visual method, radiographic method, histologic method, and physical and chemical analysis. For example, what is a clinical method? The most reliable and easiest approach for age estimation would be a clinical observation of the stages of eruption of the teeth and degenerative changes in the teeth. For example, abrasion. Radiographic methods is a very simple and non-invasive technique used in the forensic odontology for age estimation of a living and unknown death. It gives information about the tooth germs, stages of mineralization of the tooth. Whereas a histologic method requires a preparation of the tissues for detailed microscopic examination, which can determine more accurately the stage of the development of the dentition. Whereas a physical and chemical analysis of the dental hard tissues helps to determine the alteration in the levels, in the ion levels with the age have been proposed. The factors which are used for age determination using dentition is the appearance of the tooth germ. As we know, there are three stages of tooth development: bud and cap and bell stage. So the appearance of these tooth germs helps to identify the age, earliest detectable trace of mineralization, and the degree of completion of an unerupted teeth. A rate of formation of enamel and formation of neonatal line also helps in age determination. Clinical eruption, we can also get an age estimation through the eruption of the teeth. Clinically, we can see the degree of completion of roots which are unerupted, degree of resorption of the deciduous teeth, attrition of the crown, formation of the cementum also helps in age estimation. And in the soft tissues, the transparency of the root dentin can also help us to identify an age. For example, the gingival recession, root surface resorption, and discoloration and the staining of the teeth can also help us. There are methods employed in the dental age estimation are First is in prenatal, neonatal, or early postnatal child. Another method for age estimation we classify it as in children and in adolescents. Age estimation in adults. Age estimation in prenatal, neonatal, and early postnatal child. The neonatal is considered as an indicator of a birth. So these incremental growth lines seen in the histologic sections of both enamel and dentine of the deciduous teeth and the permanent first molars, which indicates the developmental during the transitional period between the intrauterine and the extrauterine development. So, with the help of the prenatal, postnatal, neonatal lines, amount of enamel formation can be assessed. So, these lines can help us to estimate the age of the neonates. Age estimation of from the incremental lines of red CS, we know it is caused by the variation in the rhythmic mineralization of enamel presence. These rhythmic patterns may be altered by various external factors such as metabolic disturbances. So, the lines may appear closer or rest periods may be prolonged. So now, as we saw in the natals and neonatals, we will be moving on to the children and the adolescents. Depending on the eruption of the teeth and the tooth calcification, there are two methods we can identify the age estimation. One is Squar's and Maesler's method and Demirjian method. So first method, this method was found out in 1941 by Schwartz and Maslers, established a numerical developmental chart, which was first attempted at the scientific dental age estimation. In this study, the development of the deciduous and permanent tooth can be divided into 21 chronological steps from 4 months to the age of 21 years. So the Dimergian method is developed by Dimergian et al. To estimate used by a scoring system. In this method, the developments of 7 mandibular teeth on the left side, as it can appear in the picture, we can see the radiograph were divided into 10 stages. So depending on these 10 stages, we will be able to estimate the age for each in developmental stage, and a different maturity score was given. The morphological methods. Gustafson's method is in 1950, Gustav Gustafsson, and in 1944, Thoma together developed a method for age estimation based on the morphological and histological age-related changes in the teeth. They assessed the regressive changes, for example, the amount of occlusal attrition. So they score all these regressive changes, and depending on the score, the age has been estimated. The changes are amount of occlusal attrition, coronal secondary dentin deposition, loss of the periodontal attachment, and how much cementum opposition is found at the root apex, root resorption at an apex. In this method, each changes was scored on the scale of 1 to 4. So the age estimation formula was given where X is the total score. So the error for this method was around plus or minus 3.6 years. So the result which will be estimated through this method can be above 3 or below 3 years. Dalit's method. To overcome the errors of Gustafsson's method, Dalit method came up with a 5-point system to score the regressive changes. The results suggested that the factors such as attrition, periodontitis, secondary dentin deposition, and the transparency of the root of the 12 anterior teeth and related to age, whereas such root resorption and secondary dentin were discarded to achieve greater accuracy in the age estimation. Dalit's method uses a formula which is E is equal to 8.691 plus 5.146. This method takes bicuspids and the molars more in an account. Moving on to a bang and ram method. This is a method which uses the dentin transparency over a time. As the dentin tubules are narrow and causes hardening of its tubular structure, this process can begin as early as the 3rd decade of the life, as it is not affected by the health of the tooth pulpal or by the sex of an individual. This concept of bang and ram method was found out in 1970 to estimate an age. It was found that the first evident at the root apex moved towards the crown of the tooth. Thus, the root transparency forms a factor or a mean for an age estimation, which can be used throughout an adult life in the period in which the dental eruption cannot provide a reliable age estimation. And very important of this method is that the sex of the individual cannot be determined. Moving on to the biochemical method. The first and the famous biochemical method is amino acid racemization, where our body will produce a certain amount of amino acids, which are building blocks, which are formed in two forms, L and D. Both are superimposable images of each other. So amino acids, like for example, aspartic acid is most reliable for an age estimation. This protein formation in the body is a form of L. By the process, it will be converted into D form during the life. As aspartic acid is very fast compared to the other amino acids, it is helpful in age estimation compared to other amino acids at body temperature. It has been proved that this method can be used for 20 years after the death of an individual. So this method can be used in two ways. One is HPLC. The methodology can be found out through HPLC method and gas chromatography, where a tooth can be powdered and it can be formed in a liquefied matter, and it can be incorporated into the HPLC or in the gas chromatography, where this will find the levels of D and the levels of L aspartic acids in the human which has been present. And this will give us an accuracy of more less than 2 years of age estimation, which gives an accurate or closer to a person's individual's age. So the presence of enamel caries, if the patient has enamel caries, will slightly affect the results. Thus, the D level of aspartic acid in the human enamel, dentin, and cementum will increase the age of an individual. Moving on to the radiographic methods, the age estimation are used to estimate the type of age of the adults. One is by the volume assessment of the teeth, and second is by the development of the third molar. So first one, a radiographic method where we can estimate individual's age by Kowal et al. Method, where he developed it by comparing the ratio of a pulp tooth ratio, where the 6 maxillary and 6 mandibular teeth can be taken for in this method, where we can determine the age by using a formula for it. So the formula has the pulp length, root length by the tooth length. Then the second method is coronal pulp cavity index. As the name says, coronal pulp. This method uses the mandibular premolars and molars for age estimation, as a mandibular teeth are more visible than the maxillary. The reduction in the coronal pulp cavity is determined by taking panoramic radiography and measuring the length of the crown length and the length of the coronal pulp cavity. So this coronal pulp cavity index also has a formula, which is known as total coronal index, CPCH into 100 by CL. CPCH is the length of the coronal pulp cavity into 100 by divided by, or the ratio of the length of the coronal tooth crown. As a total of 28 single-rooted teeth of 19 individuals with known chronological age were scanned by cone beam CT, and images were analyzed using the software. This technique is a very non-invasive method for an age estimation using cone beam CT images in the living individuals. This results show a moderate correlation between the pulp tooth volume ratio and the biological method with the coefficient of the determination. So as the picture shows, CL is the coronal length, CPCH is the total coronal pulp cavity length. Results showed there will be a moderate correlation between the pulp tooth volume ratio. Conclusion. So as in my presentation, I have explained about the clinical method, morphological method, radiographical method, and biochemical methods of age estimation. I would like to conclude my presentation by saying that the best age estimation method would be a non-invasive type, where the patient has to undergo less invasiveness. And forensic dentist must have an individual who is a forensic dentist must have the ability to judge each age estimation case very carefully, in addition to their visual age estimation. And for a very accurate age estimation, one must choose one or more methods to attain the perfection in the results. Forensic dentist has to keep in mind that perfection and exactness are the main requirement for a case to solve. And the most used dental age estimation methods are stages through the radiographs. Concluding, the most commonly used methods in the children and adolescents are the Demergian's method. And for adults, the most commonly used methods are radiographic methods. As I said, it is a non-invasive morphological method, and biochemical methods has been most commonly used in the archaeology for an adults. These are my references. I cordially thank my head of the department for allowing me to present this paper. And thank you. Thank you, ma'am.